Hey, James Eagleman at Barber Creek. Today we're doing a tall target test on the Tract Toric 4x25x50 in minute of angle. So we're going to head out to the range and get started. We're using the Bosch laser, not rangefinder, but laser measurer because it's extremely accurate. It's better than using a stretchable tape. We're using our tall target test that we have. We got the target out there. And then we're using a brand new jig that I have just designed. This was the first prototype. Very solid, very heavy, and I'll give you guys kind of a round video in a minute. So the Tract Toric is really nice. You can lift up the turrets. They got a really good solid zero stop. I'm working with this company right now to do some modifications, and we'll talk about that in a second. But let me go ahead and run this tall target test and then stand by, and then we'll talk more about the scope. Okay, so we just got everything set up. We ranged the target or measured it with this Bosch. We ended up with 100.2 in 3/30 seconds, which comes up to 27.83593 yards. I ran the tall target test. We dialed 30 minutes up, 30 minutes down, 30 minutes up, 30 minutes down on this tract. We ended up with overall travel of 8.8125 inches. So when we plug it into ballistic solver, and the ballistic solver that we put on our website, or the correction factor solver, not ballistic solver, we're going to put in 27.84 yards. We're going to tell it we dialed 30 minutes, and we're going to tell it what the expected point of impact is, or actually it's going to tell you what the expected point of impact, which would be 8.7445 inches of movement, and then the actual point of impact that we found or saw was 8.8125. That gives us a correction factor of 0.9923, which is pretty good. So we're pretty happy with that. So I'm gonna head upstairs and I'm gonna mount this on a school gun and we're gonna run it and see how it does. I got class tomorrow, so I gotta get everything ready. We got 10 students. So I'm gonna let them run this as one of the school scopes and let's see what it does afterwards. So I'm gonna jump on a computer in a little bit and I'm gonna let you see me drop all these data points in to get the correction factor. So other than that, let's go test out this scope and see how well it does on a school gun. All right, James at Barber Creek, we are back. I got this Tract Toric mounted on a school gun. Again, lift lock, push down turrets, good zero stop. It does have a dialable turret on the right. Again, this is the 4x25 magnification. And basically, I already did tall target test. We're tracking 0.9923. And then we've got the school gun that has the Trigicon on it. This is the one that came off of the school gun. Now these are 4.5 by 30, so this one is set at 25 and this is at 25. So what I'm gonna do is I've already done tall target test, but I'm gonna look down range, and as you guys know, we shoot golf balls at 1,000 yards in our level 1 day 2. And I'm looking at the golf balls and I'm trying to see how clear they are. So stand by real quick. This is the Tract with Japanese glass. And I can see the golf balls perfectly, bright orange. And I can see the mirage blowing left to right. It's a calculated 3-mile-an-hour wind. Now I'm gonna take the Trigicon, which is a scope that's in the same price range. Again, focus in parallax. Make sure we're good, and you know, to me, it looks the same. I don't see any difference. They're both Japanese glass, both good glass for the price range. And again, both of these scopes are in the 14 plus, definitely under $2,000. So this one has a 56 bell. This one looks like a 50. Don't quote me on that until I get home and look at it. Again, Tract Toric 4x25. So far, so good. We're gonna run it and let the students run the snot out of it. But I want to talk to you about something that I've been harping on for the longest time with companies that make scopes. Luckily, John and John, I met them years ago, twice actually. We met them at the Great American Outdoor Show in Pennsylvania. We met them at the Sheep Show. And we had a discussion with them, and finally we're able to work together. So almost every scope company out there makes the turret numbers small. They make them for PRS guys, they make them for the young guys, not for the 40 and over like me. I'm 58. I can hardly see the numbers when I'm looking at them behind a gun, and so can most of my clients have the same issue. It didn't make much sense, but you get my point. Most of my clients have the same issue, and that issue is our eyesight isn't like a 22-year-old or a 24-year-old or a 30-year-old, but we're the guys that are going on them hunts. So what's cool about John and John at Tract is we had this conversation, and they're going to fix it. They're going to actually make really large numbers, as large as they can get away with on our turrets here, and they're going to put them out production for you guys. The other thing is I don't need a dialable wind because we hold our wind, so they're going to shorten this and cap it, and that way it does take a little bit of weight off the scope, and we don't need to dial our wind because we hold our wind. Last thing, and then I'll kind of put it out a little bit. Years ago, I designed a reticle that's designed for long-range hunters. It's a really good reticle for long-range hunting, and they're going to put it in their scope. So right now, they're working with Light Optics to get that squared away. So you're going to get a full package on this thing. And again, you know me, I don't brand. So I like the Trigicon, I like the Night Force, I like the Athlon, I like the Tract so far. But if they're willing to listen and do things that the other companies aren't, that I've told them about, then this is what we're going to use here. Because if it tracks perfectly and stays tracking like it is, and the reticle is exactly the way I designed it, and they got large turret numbers, it's a good glass, it holds up, you can't beat that for the price range. So again, stand by for the next test. Again, we did a tall target test this morning, got the scope mounted on a school gun. I got class literally tomorrow, so students are going to run this and tell me what they think about it. And then we're going to run another tall target test after we sit there and dial these turrets and dial and try to get some wear in them or backlash, which I don't think they will. Okay, so I'm back at home. We did the tall target test, and I'm going to go ahead and plug in the numbers. Here's how you do it. Go to Barber Creek website, go to Tools, Tips, Correction Factor Calculator, and not only does it give you a video on how to do this, but it does the math for you. So here's how this works. We're going to go into first one, measured range, physically measure the range. Don't use a rangefinder, use either a measuring tape or in this case that Bosch. And we're going to type into physical range. This was 27.84 yards. Then the next box is asking you how many minutes you dialed in your turret. We know it was 30. And what it does is it automatically gives you the expected point of impact, which is 8.7445 inches. The next box is the actual point of impact, or actual amount of travel your reticle moved. In this case was 8.8125. And then this ballistic program, or the one that we designed, not really a ballistic program, but this correction factor for the ballistic program, automatically gives you the correction factor. In this case, this Tract Toric Tract 0.9923, which is respectable. It's right on par with the Night Forces, the Trigicons, the Athlon, Cronus, and everything else. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and finish this video up. I'm going to talk a little bit about the scope itself. As far as I'm concerned, the glass is equal to everything that we've tested in the Japanese glass world. And the turrets are really nice. I like the zero stop. I like the color. That kind of gun gray looks really good instead of just a black all the time. And again, I'm really happy that John and John are working with me to do what I asked them to do, to put my reticle inside of it, shorten up the windage turret, cap it, and then make larger numbers for us guys that are over 40. Overall, great scope so far. It's on a school gun. We're going to see how the clients like it tomorrow. So thanks again for joining us. James at Barber Creek.
Howdy everybody, Keith Warren here for Barber Creek, America's premier long-range hunting and shooting school. Barber Creek has one of America's top long-range instructors and life-size animal targets out to 1,000 yards. Enjoy a climate-controlled classroom and shoot house, luxurious lodging, and 4-course meals as you train with fellow outdoorsmen. Our Level 2 Master Course puts you in real hunting positions off a tripod, bipod, and backpacks, with 25 life-size animal targets from 340 yards out to 1,670 yards on 6 stations. You'll become confident shooting at angles, reading wind and terrain, and shooting across valleys. When that once-in-a-lifetime shot only comes once, you can't afford to miss. Contact Barber Creek at 334-845-0000.